Okay, so let's continue with the difference between nominal damage and temporary damage. So sa nominal damages, may right na na-violate only that hindi siya ma wala siyang value. Okay? Dito sa temporary damage naman, may right na na-violate, may value siya, yun nga lang, kulang yung ebidensya. Okay? To determine the proper amount. Okay? So, nominal, walang value, walang corresponding amount. Sa temporary, may value, may amount, yun nga lang hindi ma-determine kung magkano yung amount. Okay? So that's the difference between nominal and temporary damages. Okay? Now let's go to actual damages. Okay? These are pecuniary loss, ibig sabihin may value din yung loss, nako-compute yung loss, actually suffered and proved. Okay? It includes loss, impairment of earning capacity and necessary expenses. And take note that the proof as to the amount is required. For example, magpa-file ako ng kaso kasi nabangga yung sasakyan ko. So, magkano ang i-ask kong actual damages? I have to show proof. Yung tawag nito, magpapa-quote ako, ipapa-compute ko dun sa car expert kung magkano yung value ng actual damage. Okay? Kunwari, may nanakaw. Kailangan mag-show ka ng proof kung magkano yung nanakaw. Okay? Because actual damages under the law requires proof. Okay? So, yan. So, last kind of damage, liquidated damage. Ito yung damages already agreed upon by the parties. For example, penalty. Like for example, hindi ka nakapagbayad on the date agreed upon, you have a penalty of 100 peso per day. So the 100 peso per day as penalty is already indicated, agreed upon by the parties in the contract, that is called liquidated damages. So para mapatunayan mo na you are entitled to collect liquidated damage from the debtor, ipakita mo lang yung kontrata. Okay? Now, with all those kinds of damages, here's the thing. Actual damages requires proof. Other damages, si court lang ang magde-decide kung ibibigay nila. Okay? Except of course, liquidated damage. Kasi yung liquidated damage, ang pruweba mo na doon is yung kontrata. Okay? So that is your the damages. So just remember our mnemonics. Mental. Moral, exemplary, nominal, temporary, actual, and liquidated damages. Okay? I think the last part of this session is regarding usurious transaction. Okay? When we talk about usurious transaction, this involves the concept of usury. Okay? This is the receiving of something in excess of an amount allowed by law for loan or forbearance of money. So, dito papasok yung mga nagpapautang na sobrang taas ng interest. Okay? Pero, saan pumapasok yung obligor natin doon? Okay? Papasok yung obligor natin in such a way na ano dapat lang ang interest na allowed by law? Meron bang particular interest rate per year? Or okay lang kahit sobrang taas yung interest kasi ginusto niya naman talagang umutang kasi umutang siya dahil gusto niyang mamasyal sa abroad, etc. So what is our rule when it comes to usurious transaction? Okay? Before kasi, meron tayong tinatawag na usury law. Okay? Ang laman ng usury law, naka-indicate na doon kung ilan yung required interest ng mga pautang. Okay? If you will look on your book, okay, nakalagay doon na, if I'm not mistaken, parang per year dapat 14%, 16% per annum lang ang interest rate. However, that law, okay, was made or became inexistent is as early as 1983. Eh di sir, kung wala na yung usury law, wala na yung batas na nagsasabi kung ano talaga yung ceiling ng interest rate. So, how can we determine whether or not a loan or forbearance of money is usurious if we don't have any more a threshold? Okay? Kasi nung merong usury law, may threshold tayo, madali lang. Titignan mo lang kung ano yung ceiling ng interest rate. Okay? But, now, nawala na yung usury law, ano nang basis natin? Okay? Our basis now in determining whether or not a contract is usurious or not is the Civil Code also under Article 19. Okay? This is one of my favorite provisions of the law. Kasi ang sabi sa Article 19, okay, every person must, in the exercise of his rights and in the performance of his duties, act with justice, give everyone his due, and observe honesty and good faith. So lahat daw ng gagawin natin, whether or not you will fulfill an obligation, whether or not you will exercise your right, we must act with justice. We must give everyone their due. We must observe honesty and good faith. So if we will apply that to loan and forbearance of money transaction, pag magpapautang ka daw, with justice lang daw. Ibig sabihin, wag sobrang taas. Sir, how do we know if the pautang, if the loan or forbearance of money is sobrang taas? Okay, I have here some example. Okay, A, in passionate wanting to travel in Maldives with B, ask for a loan from the same person. B agreed as A will treat him. Utang ako sa'yo, libre kita. Diba? B gave an interest of 15% per month. 15% per month. Oopsie, medyo mataas. Okay? However, A agreed and signed on the contract with the 15% per month interest. Eventually, A cannot pay. Now, B files a complaint and enforces the payment from A months after the due date, including now the 15% per month interest. Ang tanong, mataas ba yung interest? Kasi kung mataas, ika-cancel dapat yan ng court. Kung mababa, hahayaan ng court. Okay, kasi nag-agree naman sila. Versus the second example. A, in dire need for money. Okay, because of hospitalization purposes. Remember kanina, leisure lang. Dito, hospitalization. Ask for a loan from B. Wala nang mautangan si B, wala nang mautangan si A. Ito namang si B, okay, 10% per month. Of course, no choice on the part of A. A agreed and signed on the contract. Eventually, A cannot pay. B files a complaint asking for the payment of the principal plus the 10% per month. Let's try to differentiate the example. Dito, sa leisure, 15% per month, mas mataas. Dito, sa hospitalization, 10% per month lang, mas mababa. But which is usurious? The answer is this, the loan for hospitalization purposes. Sir, even if it's 10%, which is lower than the 15% kanina sa kabilang example, yes, kasi kanina, we can see, dito sa Maldives na example, we can see that A is really, di ba, buong puso niyang inutang yung mataas ang interest. That's why the law should respect their agreement. Okay? Na 15%. Dito, no choice. That's why the law will help yung aggrieved party, okay, na makamit yung hustisya. That's why between these two, okay, the second one, even if it has a lower interest, this one is usurious. So take note that when we talk about usurious transaction, we don't really care about the interest rate, okay? We care more about the situation in connection with our Article 19. Okay? So bear in mind na ganon dapat mag-assess kung ang isang transaction ay usurious. Dahil kung ang isang transaction ay usurious, it has to be canceled by the court. Okay? But if it's not usurious, the court or the law will respect the agreement of the parties. Okay? So I hope we're clear with the usurious transactions. Okay. So now, we're on Article 1177. I think this is on the remedies of the creditor. Okay, anong remedyo ng creditor kung hindi na fulfill ng debtor yung kanilang obligasyon? So according to Article 1177, the creditors, after having pursued the property in possession of the debtor to satisfy their claims, may exercise daw all the rights and bring all the actions of the latter for the same purpose, except those which are inherent in his person. Plus, last part, they may also impugn the acts which the debtor may have done to defraud them. Medyo mahirap intindihin, okay? But I have here a summary of Article 1177. Remedies of unpaid creditor, 4 dyan. Exact fulfillment, levy and execution, action subrogatoria, and action poliana. Explain natin isa-isa. Exact fulfillment, kunwari may utang siya, hindi siya mabayaran. Ang ibig sabihin ng exact fulfillment, singilin mo lang siya ulit hanggang sa makapagbayad siya. Okay? Pangalawang remedy, kung hindi na siya makapagbayad, hindi na kaya ng exact fulfillment, levy and execution. Kunin mo yung mga properties na pwedeng ipa-attach. Kunin mo yung mga properties na, mga pwedeng ipa-attach. Hindi mo pwedeng kunin yung mga non-exempt properties. Anong example ng mga non-exempt properties? Mga personal belongings. Okay? Yon. For example, I'm a lawyer. I have my office. I have my laptop and my books. I have a creditor. Hindi ako makapagbayad doon sa inutangan ko. Pwede niya bang kunin yung mga libro ko at laptop ko? No. Because yun ang kabuhayan ko. Okay? Yun ang example ng mga non-exempt. Yun ang example ng mga exempt properties. Anong pwede niyang kunin? Yung pera ko sa bangko. Ganyan. Okay? Yun yung mga pwede niyang i-levy or execute. Now, sir, what if kulang pa rin? Okay? Third remedy, subrogatoria. Okay? Yung creditor ko pwede nang pumunta dun sa mga may utang sa akin na instead na sa akin magbabayad, yung mga creditor ko, direct na sa kanya magbabayad. They will be subrogated already. Sila nang kukuha ng mga receivable ko. Okay? Now, what if hindi pa rin? What if kulang? Okay? Meron tayong action poliana. When we talk about action poliana, it is the remedy on the part of the creditor to cancel yung mga kontrata na pinasok ko. For example, itong creditor ko, noong nag-exact fulfillment sa akin, wala akong maibigay. Kaya nag-second siya, levy or execution. Gusto niyang kunin yung lupa ko na nasa, for example, Ilocos. May lupa ako sa Ilocos. Pero ang ginawa ko, para matakasan ko siya at hindi niya makuha yung lupa ko, binenta ko kay governor yung lupa ko. Then, me and governor, we are both aware that the act of me selling the land or donating the land to governor is merely to iwasan yung creditor ko. So, ano ang remedyo ngayon ni creditor? One of the remedy of the creditor is action poliana. Ito yung last sentence dito sa 1177. Yung impugn the acts of the debtor that may defraud them. Okay? So, example, A donates a land to C but he owes B. A has no property. B can rescind, B can impugn, B can cancel the donation of A to C. Okay? The donation is rescissible. Are we clear with that? Okay? Sir, kahit na hindi siya party dun sa usapan nyo ni governor, he can do that. Yes, that is called action poliana. The only time my creditor cannot cancel or impugn yung kontrata ko with governor is if the governor is in good faith. Hindi niya alam na yun yung purpose ko kung bakit ko binenta sa kanya or dinonate sa kanya yung property. Are we clear with that? Okay? So those are the remedies. Take note ha, na itong remedyo na to is alternative. Unahin dapat yung number 1. Pag hindi kaya ng number 1, mag-number 2. Pag hindi kaya ng mag-number 2, mag-number 3. Pag hindi kaya ng number 3, mag-number 4. Hindi pwedeng mag-number 3 agad. Hindi pwedeng mag-number 2 agad. Okay? Remember that. Then, okay. The last provision in the nature and effects of obligation. Article 1178. Okay? So, subject to the laws, all rights acquired in virtue of an obligation are transmissible. Lahat daw ng karapatan na ipapanganak sa isang agreement, sa isang obligasyon, lahat yan transmissible. Kunwari, may pautang ako sa'yo. Okay? So, yung pautang ko, pwede kong sabihin na, Dean Mas, pwede bang sa'yo na yung pautang ko, ikaw na maningil sa kanya? Pwede ba yon? Yes, because these rights are transmissible. Okay? Take note that rights are transmissible. Except, syempre may exception tayo dyan, no? Personal rights, they are not allowed. Okay? by stipulation or law. For example, ikaw ay naging academic scholar ng All Pikawayan. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na, pwede po ba yung scholarship ko, ibigay ko na lang po sa friend ko na mas mahirap sa akin. Hindi pwede. Because that right to be a scholar is a personal right. So, meaning to say, some rights are not transmissible because they are personal rights. But generally, if the right is not personal, okay, it is transmissible. Okay? So, I think that wraps up the nature and effects of obligation. Okay, so unfortunately, I will not be meeting you this January 12. Okay, because I think I need more time to rest because I got sick over the weekend. Okay? However, okay, since we are already through with the discussion, okay, we will already have your prelim quiz 1 on, tomorrow is 12, 13, 14, on the 14th. Okay, so I will be meeting you face to face on the 14th, okay, for our prelim quiz 1. Now, just in case you have a question, okay, I will be entertaining a question tomorrow, January 12, via Google Meet from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay? Provided that your class representative, kung sino ang class representative nyo, you inform me beforehand, maybe before tomorrow ng 12 noon, you inform me if you will schedule for a questioning session tomorrow via Google Meet ng 5 to 6 p.m. so that we can schedule an online meeting for the purpose of asking questions. Okay? Just in case you have a question up until you, with regards to our topic from 1176 to 1178. Just in case wala naman, okay lang din naman. Okay? However, we'll still have a quiz on the 14th. Okay? So I think we're good with that. So hopefully you have learned something. Ulitin nyo na lang yung lecture kung may hindi kayo na-gets. And if there's something you want to ask, okay, just let me know. Just let me know so that we can arrange a consultation tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay? So that would be all.